Well, welcome again today to Aflame and Whole. We'll be continuing our discussion on goal setting in ministry. And again, our objective will be to know what goal setting is all about, to learn biblical basis for setting goals, and to realize the benefits of goal setting. Today, I have two brothers with me. Brother Ernest Afolabi is the president of Destiny Army, an interdenominational, non-denominational fellowship aimed at reaching out to the people around, for now, Songo, Ogun, and Lagos environment with the gospel. And here also we have Bro Victor Opara, who is an enthusiast of the gospel and has a mission for helping young people understand their purpose in life. Today we'll be looking at the topic goal setting in ministry together. We started this last Sunday. I just used the first 3-4 minutes to do a brief review of what we discussed, and we shall proceed further. Right? We said that to be able to fulfill our purpose in life, or to say we have completed our journey, we must understand purpose, our purpose for existence, and that should shape our perspective about things we come across. And then in turn, it will shape how we prioritize our time. In essence, like Dr. Ferdinand Nweke will usually say that life is time measured in seconds. So whatever we give our time to, we're actually giving part of our life to. So when we understand the purpose for our existence, it shapes our perspective, and we're then able to prioritize our time to carry out things based on our perspective to now fulfill purpose. Acts chapter 13, verse 36, we dwelt on that briefly last week. We just read it once and move on. Acts 13:36, we're talking about David. Now, David had served God's purpose in his own generation. He fell asleep. He was buried with his ancestors, and his body decayed. The fact here is that he served God's purpose. Falling asleep, we mentioned everyone will fall asleep, whether you serve God's purpose or not. Falling asleep is mandatory except if Christ comes. But the issue is, would we fulfill God's purpose before we fall asleep? That becomes the crux. When we understand purpose, we discussed last week, we won't seem lost, or wouldn't even behave like we're lost. We'll be focused, not confused. Anything like being unsure, unclear, perplexed, disoriented, bewildered will not be our characteristics. We see several people, they have the fame, they have the wealth, and they commit suicide because they are lonely or several other things, or they feel an emptiness inside of them. It's simply because they've not been able to actually discover purpose. We also went ahead to look at perspective, and we gave an example. If you really want to catch up on what we did, you need to watch the last video, the part 1 of goal setting. On priority, the summary is that we said, like I mentioned earlier, our life is measured in time, and there are several alternatives, several things that are competing for our time. If you are a man of purpose, and you're a man who sees life in the proper perspective, you are not just thinking of breaking down your bands and increasing them, but you are thinking of, okay, this increase I have, how will I use it to fulfill my purpose? Then you discover that 24 hours is not enough to do every single thing. And you need to prioritize. You need to decide, you need to have a scale of preference and decide what to push to the background and what to handle presently. So we looked at this and we divided our time and things we can spend our time to into 4 quadrants. The first one is the do quadrant, where we have important and urgent things. The second one is the plan quadrant. And perhaps I should use the next slide here. Yes. So we have the quadrant of necessity as the first quadrant. The quadrant of necessity was our first quadrant, right about here. Quadrant of necessity, first quadrant. Then we had the quadrant of quality. These are things that are urgent, not urgent, but important. You need to watch that video again to have a full gist of that. We went to quadrant 3, the quadrant of distractions. They are urgent, but not important, right? We said these things here can be delegated, right? And we discussed the last one, which is the quadrant of waste, right? The quadrant of waste, not urgent and not important at all. We can as well just do without this. We could do them at our leisure time when we are basically completely free, like during our leave and other things. But this should not take the center stage in our life. Today, we'll be moving on with our discussion on these 4 quadrants, and I'll be calling on Bro Victor to anchor this slide. Bro Victor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Just like you rightly mentioned, this just goes further to buttress the other quadrants we are looking at. So this is just a sort of way to look at the way we use our time. So basically, you have this thing divided into 2 axes. So you have urgency taking the upper axis and importance taking the order. So in the first quadrant, you have things that are of high importance and high urgency. So a good example here is where you have a deadline, maybe a deadline at work, or a deadline to submit an article, or a deadline, whatever deadline you have, that is something that is very central or key to what you are doing. So at that point in time, it's something that is of high importance and at the same time is highly urgent. So the strategy here, what we are trying to bring about is what you're supposed to do. So the strategy here is just to do it. You don't have any other option. You just have to do it at that particular point in time. So sort things, just go ahead and do it. Don't postpone, don't and the sad part of some of these things is that sometimes we fail to even recognize that these things are important, and we just turn it on their head. So in the first quadrant, we just have to make sure once we identify that these things they are urgent and they are things that are very important, just go ahead and just do it. Now, in the second quadrant, now these things are, in fact, these are, I consider this to be the most important quadrant. Why? The first quadrant somehow, by their nature, you just have to do them. You see them, and you know you just have to do them. So, like when you have a deadline, you're supposed to submit a project tomorrow. Nobody needs to tell you that, okay, you need to get working. But the quadrant 2, there are things that are important, but they're not quite urgent. So because of that, we don't pay attention to them. So for instance, we know that there is, if you're in ministry, you need to plan ahead. You need to make provisions for projects that are coming up, programs that are coming up. You need to plan out your evangelism. You need to set goals and all those things. You need to have meetings with the various leaders, team leaders, and all that. Now, these are things that are generally important, but they are not too urgent. So a lot of times we can just push these things to one side. You need to fellowship. Needs to have our own personal time of fellowship, of retreats, and all those things. These are things that are important, but because they are not urgent, we tend not to pay attention to it. So the strategy here is to schedule it. All right. So these things create time. Someone says that there is, when we say that I don't have time, I don't have time. You say I don't have time, I don't have time. The truth is, every one of us has time. It's an issue of what you do with your time. So you have to schedule out and you have to create time. You have to make out time from what you have out of your 24 hours or time you have in a week, 7 days in a week. Create time to handle these things. All right. Then the third quadrant are things that they are not so important. They are not really important, but at the same time they are urgent. All right. So, for instance, someone else has a deadline to meet, or someone just comes to you, can you get me to do this one, that one, that one? It might be very important, but the issue is that the best use of your time at that particular point in time? Is this something that will really help you towards, really push you towards achieving the goals and the purpose and all those things that you've already mapped out for yourself? If it is not, then it is something you can delegate. Recently, what I just discovered sometime last 2 months, I discovered I was feeling a little bit burnt out because I was taking on so much. So the question was, what are those things? This thing, I was reading a book by Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. So one of the things I really learned from that, and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. These are books I actually suggest, people can actually read to get better perspective of some of these things. Um, Ask yourself, is this the best use of me? I think in getting this third quadrant, you need to ask yourself, is this the best use of me? Is it something I can delegate? As urgent as it seems to be, is there someone else I can actually delegate these things over to? So if it is something you can delegate, please just delegate it right away. So the strategy here is to seek to delegate things that seem very urgent, but at the same time they are not so important. Delegate it, get other people to handle those ones. And the last one is things that are of low urgency and of low importance. You do this when you want to play. Let us put it that way. These are things you should do when you are completely free. Just know that, okay, I'm free, probably during have a leave or during your leisure time or whatever. So they are of very low importance. They are low. Oh, okay. Sorry for that.
The static sound.
Is it still there?
No, it's better now.
Okay. So for this fourth quadrant, very low importance, low urgency, as much as possible, just avoid it. So you have things like surfing, there are some of us who just like surfing the web, just be going from Facebook to Instagram. There is a very popular one I just been seeing recently on a lot of young people. Just come to WhatsApp and say anybody WhatsApp call or anybody uh, Zoom call or something, just face call or whatever. I'm like, that means you don't have any other thing to do with your time. So us will just be we'll go from link IPG to Instablog to just be jumping from one side to another. And before you know what is happening, you spend 1 hour, you spend 2 hours, and that is your life going. It's not just hours, that is life. That's your life that's sitting away like that. So you have to ask yourself, is this really something I just want to get involved with? So the strategy there is really just avoid doing most of these ones that just they don't add anything. They really don't add anything. So the only time if I'm going to get involved in any of these things, it's just that okay, I want to relax after a very, very long or busy day. Maybe just want to take out 30 minutes to just calm down and just refresh and all those things. So that's when you can. But other than that, run away from these activities. All right, switch up.
Thank you so much. So when you were talking on number 3, quadrant 3, I just remembered saying no. As Christians and effective people, not necessarily Christians, people who are effective people have a very good way of telling you no, or telling you, please, can we do this at another time? You don't have to pick every call. You don't have to attend every meeting. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to give us a sign of you are important or very, indispensable. People who achieve great things prioritize their time, including footballers. It will surprise you to know that footballers, there are some places you can't go to some days before a football match.
Yes.
You might not even engage in anything there. The fact that you attended that gathering qualifies you for a sanction, right? There are certain food you cannot take, not because they contain anything that looks like a drug, but that is what you are expected to take it. You know, so as people who have direction, as people who want to achieve certain goals, we have to be able to say no to some things. Like you mentioned, there's TikTok. I just recently, even Instagram lately, I just don't know. Well, if you jump into Instagram, if you're not careful, you watch one funny thing to another funny thing, one video clip to one video clip, and you are there 3 hours. And the funny thing is this: by the time you are at the fourth video, you can't even remember what you saw in the very first video. You can't remember. So it's like you are just making yourself happy without achieving anything. And making yourself happy doesn't change the world. It doesn't change the world. All right, so that I won't spend so much time on this. If you have observations, you have other things you want to, and you want to be here live with us and discuss, of course, make your comments in the chat box. Remember to also like and subscribe to this channel, and you could also suggest topics we could take on subsequently. Yeah, bro, Ernest, what is goal setting? What is goal setting? You need to unmute yourself there.
Yeah.
All right.
One thing I say good evening to the audience, good afternoon to the audience. It's a very important topic. I want to appreciate my colleague who has just analyzed the previous slide. This is a topic that, no matter whom you are, we all still learn from it. But one of the most difficult things is goal setting. If you are lazy, both mentally, physically, it's something you will find difficult to do. And the more you default in doing it, the more problems you have at hand to solve. Now, I told us that goal setting is the process of deciding what you want to accomplish and devising an action plan to achieve the result you desire. Now, I would love to break that down. The first thing is a process there. And second thing, the process, then there's deciding. Then there is accomplish. Between accomplish and what, between the process and accomplishing, there are certain decisions you make. Now, the key word there, as highlighted in that page, is action plan. And let me start from the beginning of deciding, the process of deciding. In other words, 3 things. Number 1, deciding on a thing. Then number 2, which is your action plan, deciding on how, in it, breaking them down on how you will actually carry them out. Now, let me look at that word process. Those of us that are in an environment that read something related to agriculture, when you use the word processing, the full arm of agriculture, processing is a department on its own. Now, it has to do with converting a particular raw material to get another one. So now it is everything in life goes through a process. It's a process is a kind of what I call an applied activities to achieving a thing. An outlined act. That is why life itself is a process. Before you ultimately get to your desired goal. So now that process of deciding is one big. I'm stressing it because it's where the problem lies. The process of deciding is where people have difficulty in setting out, because that process people find difficult to go through it, but it is work. Goal setting is work in itself. So going through that process now to decide on what to do, it's a way of deciding what you want to accomplish. And the second keyword there is accomplish. You can't accomplish anything without first passing through the process of deciding on it. You can't become a doctor without one day deciding that this is what I want. You can't become a renowned evangelist without one day deciding on this is exactly what I am wired for. I am aware of it. So between accomplishing is that and the process is the act of deciding to accomplish that thing. Now, and between accomplishing and getting to your desired result, it is one thing you can say you want to become a doctor and you actually become a doctor, but it's another to become an outstanding doctor. That is why they use the last word there, your desired result. Now, you could become something spectacular in the same field that others have been. So that's another thing. Then where I will dwell a bit is action plan. Now, is the act of breaking your vision, your purpose, your goals into bits. The act of breaking them into action. So you may have a purpose. You may have in mind that, okay, perhaps it is very clear to you, I want to become an engineer, I want to become this. Between when you decide to do that and when you become exactly the type of engineer you want, how do I become this? And that is where your actual plan comes. I would need at so point, okay, if I could hit at my wife once, okay, between, let's take this for instance. I want to become the youngest, what's it called? I want to be the youngest PhD holder in the faculty of engineering in life. Ahead of somebody at 21, but I want to pursue 20. That's a goal. You set something for yourself to achieve. But the truth is that achieving that, you will have to settle down and tell yourself, okay, I'm already 10 years old. I watched this with my dad, and I decided I want to become this. That means I must have to leave the secondary school. At least, if I can't write WAEC at the age of 12, I should write at the age of 18. And by 18 years, I should be a graduate. If I am able to get an admission immediate effect, or by 19 at post. And by another additional 1.5 when you are gradually breaking down, and now after setting that, you can come back and say, okay, now what do I now do? I will read so hours per day. Setting, you are actually breaking down what you want to achieve. I want to go out for an outreach, which is what we in our people of will sometimes understand that it's not an easy thing. We would have to hold meetings from time to time, review plans again and again, set out some, break down the plan into bits where individuals, different persons who are capable of doing one thing or the other are made to handle it. You see, all of these things, if you don't do it, you will just realize that you are caught up with time and you are beginning to say, this program is next week. I'm at Ishile. You will not done this, not done that, and you begin to rush unnecessarily and start sweating when you're not expected to sweat. So goal setting is actually it's actually that process you go through, and the act of breaking down, the process into phases that will eventually help you to arrive at your desired end, at your expected end, at your real future, your plan, your purpose. So that's actually what goal setting stands for. The next slide, please.
All right.
Yeah. This is another definition by somebody else. Said, putting up building blocks of substance. You see that? Look at the ground. Look at the ground. I just like it.
And is it for me? But Chibuzo, can you?
I can hear you. I think it's
Okay.
work.
Uh-oh. All right, so let's move on. Goal setting is like putting up building blocks of success. Of course, just like we saw here, the process of deciding.
When you look at the ground very well.
Oh, all right. You went off briefly. You went off briefly there.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, yeah.
Now, going back to that second slide, I was trying to explain the pyramid. It's goal setting stands for. The guy who designed it must have thought of it. I want to build this up. The ground floor must be wider. It must have the capacity to carry the weight at the top. That's planning. Now, putting up building blocks of success. That's the definition somebody gave me. For you to arrive at a successful end, you have to start putting up one or two things. I want to get married by the next 2 years. What am I doing now? Putting in place accommodation, putting in place the money for different things, price, and all that. You will have to draw a plan. If possible, cost your budget, cost them, and you begin to look at how much you are looking at. Then look at your income, your earning. Will my earnings be able to carry this at the stipulated time? If not, what else can I do? You see, you are beginning to set up, build up strategies to help to combat the battle that is forthcoming. Because you don't learn how to shoot in the war front. You learn how to shoot before you get there. And that's what goal helps you to do. And I think it is one very key aspect of sending that so of us are taking so lightly, and a lot of persons are paid so dearly for it, and some are still paying. So goal setting is very key. I think I will have to stop there so that
all right.
Time for
Thank you so much, bro. Yes, someone said that is painting in the mind what you want to be, where you want to be, or what you want to have. Let's remember that the whole topic is around goal setting in ministry. This is more or less like a preamble. We shall be having this in about 6 to 7 series, and this is just the second. So we're doing a general definition or a gist around goal setting. Painting in the mind what you want to be, where you want to be, or what you want to have. That's somebody's view on goal setting. Even though we'll come to see later on that it goes beyond just the mind, it also entails you putting it down in writing, pasting it in a place where you can have constant reminder of what you want to achieve, right? Someone says, if a person knows not what harbor he seeks, any wind is the right wind. And this is common with young people. I remember growing up, you watch a movie and the what we call them the actor, we call them actor and boss that time. We'll see Aminta Bachchan, and you come out and you want to be like Aminta Bachchan. Then you watch Sylvester Stallone, then you want to be like Sylvester Stallone. Then you come back and watch Dramendra, or you come back and watch Chuck Norris, and you now want to be like Chuck Norris. We wanted to be everything, right? We wanted to be everything. Those formative years. Today you want to be an aeronautic engineer. The next day you want to be an agriculturist. The next time you want to be a medical doctor. The next time you want to find yourself in the moon as an astronaut. The mind was just shifting from one point to the other and shifting from one point to the other. If you want to achieve anything meaningful in life, you should have something specific. I've met some people who are like senior mentors, and some of them get very, very offended if you can't say what today's date is. If you can't say what today's date is, it's like, do you have anything you are planning at all in the next 2 weeks? You should be able to know what today's date is, how many days you are to the next project, to the next major thing, to the next major milestone in your life, right? If you don't have purpose, you don't have a plan, everything will look like a plan. Everything that glitters will look like gold. When you have a plan, another man's gold is another man's gold. It's different from yours, right? Another man's football club is another man's football club. You can't say, because you can't just jump into any football field and now be just playing. You have to know that, okay, this is my team. My team is to the right and my opponent's team is to the left. And if I'm playing from the right to the left. You wouldn't just shoot the ball into any goal, because you have a team and because you have a direction. Bro, Victor, are you still here? Bro, Chibuzo is like his screen is frozen. I wanted him to. Are you still here? Oh, all right, great. Just round up as we discuss. As you help us with what R.W. Emerson said about the world.
Yeah, the world makes a way for the person who knows where he is going. Is very, very close to, I think, one of the central themes of one message I like so much, The Strangest Secret by Nightingale. You see, there is this thing about, it's another thing, just like when you want, there's a popular example we used to just illustrate points. When you want to buy a Toyota car, maybe a Toyota Camry, what you just discover is when you just get on the road, suddenly you begin to notice every Toyota that passes your way, you just notice, this is Toyota, because while you have something in your mind that is beginning to guide or beginning to guide every other thing you are seeing. So that is the same way that's just what this is trying to illustrate. When you have certain goals set in your mind, when you have goals set, you suddenly begin to see various options, various alternatives that are open to you, unlike when you just don't have anything set. When you have goals set, you would gradually see the various opportunities that are available. And also, it would, likes attract. There's a way that you attract certain things to yourself. When you have goals, you have something you are pursuing, it immediately begins to rub off on people around you. And it just makes a whole lot of things easy for you. Things to come to your direction, favors. At least by the time people know that this person is looking for this thing, there are people who will just see that passion you have for certain things, and when opportunities are arising in that direction, you are virtually the first person that will come to their mind. Oh, this person is looking at something like this, or those things. So the world makes a way for the person who knows where he's going. Obstacles will pass over time when you really know what you are doing, because the biggest obstacles we have are ourselves, the distractions and everything that we face. So the moment you can sort through these things by being by having set goals, things begin to pass for you.
Yes. Yeah. The world makes a way for the person who knows where he's going. If you know where you're going to is the north, you would navigate your way through the north, and the world will just find a way of making way for you, right? And it's biblical, actually. When we come back next week, we would be going a little bit deeper and be looking at understanding goals, vision pictures, the future, vision needs a mission, and these are realized through goals. So we'll come back and look at how can we begin to narrow down goal setting into ministry. And don't get it wrong here. When we say ministry, people automatically assume that it has to be church work. No. In fact, your greatest ministry is in your personal place of work. If you work in a marketplace, that is your own church. That is your own ministry, rather, right? You might be selling vegetables. You might be in the services business. God is bringing people across your way. You have a role to play. There is somebody whose role might be to provide a solution to the present coronavirus, right? And if the person plays his or her role, the world will get respite from the coronavirus. So when we're talking about goal setting in ministry, is around goal setting around our purpose for living. Thank you for being with us and watching this video. We hope to see you again next Sunday when we have another episode. Bro Ernest, Bro Victor, thank you for coming around, and we hope we have a wonderful week ahead. God bless you.